Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Gate Radio. This is the January 2013 edition of our show, our very first show of the year, and it marks our third January of being on the air. I am your host, David Baker, and I would like to introduce and welcome our regular co-host, Cheryll Baker. Good evening, Cheryll, and how are you?
Good evening, David, and thank you. I am doing great this January, and I am excited about the prediction show that we're having today.
Thank you. And I can predict this. It's going to be truly amazing, and you don't have to be psychic to know that. Yeah, before I begin, I'd like to let everybody know that the show and all of our shows are available for free on Apple iTunes under podcasts. It is under blogtalkradio.com/Beyond the Gate Radio, and you do not need an Apple product, computer, or device to get them. Because somebody asked me lately, and you can just have a Microsoft system or whatever. It doesn't matter. Now, normally I don't read news, but tonight I'm going to give you some brief news because it has something to do with the show, and perhaps it may or may not be discussed later. We'll see. But the headlines is famous San Francisco twin passes away. San Francisco residents are mourning the passing of Vivian Brown, who became a local celebrity along with her twin sister after the two regularly walked through the city streets in matching high-end outfits, identical hairdos, and cheerful smiles. The 85-year-old Brown died in her sleep on Wednesday at an assisted care facility in the city. Barbara Farber, Director of Development for Jewish Family and Children's Services, told the San Francisco Chronicle. For 40 years, the Brown twins could be seen walking along San Francisco streets, greeting tourists and locals alike. San Francisco Mayor Ed Lee issued a statement saying Brown was a truly remarkable woman who represented the best of the city. And over the years, met them on many occasions, and they're really, really nice people. Now, and yet, another famous twin passes, and this wasn't brought to my attention until I saw it posted on Facebook by our famous guests. And this happens to do with the another set of wonderful twins. Minneapolis, Minnesota AP, Pauline Friedman Phillips, who had a twin sister and who under the name of Abigail Van Buren, wrote the long-running Dear Abby advice column that was followed by millions of newspaper readers, including myself, and throughout the world, and she has passed away sadly at age 94. So, it's very unfortunate. Things happen, but, it's inevitable. If you're born, one day you're going to go to that great spirit home in the sky. Tonight, we are doing our annual prediction show. Our guests are world-famous psychics and prophets who are internationally acclaimed and known as the Psychic Twins, Terry and Linda Jamison. Their amazingly accurate and often earth-shaking predictions are known to millions of people throughout the world. What they do is so amazing that not only do they often get the attention of the major media, including television, radio, and magazines, but they have even been contacted by the Pentagon. The Psychic Twins, Terry and Linda, have shocked audiences across the world with their eerily accurate predictions, including the major events of 9/11, JFK Jr.'s death in a small plane, the Times Square terrorist incident, and the winners of the 2009 Oscars. The Jamison twins cracked the case of Olivia Newton-John's missing boyfriend on the CBS Insider in 2005. The psychic accurately predicted the record 500-year flood and the deadly tornadoes of 2011, the massive earthquakes of 2010, and Hurricane Irene on ABC's The View. They also predicted the massive Frankenstorm Hurricane Sandy of 2012 and much, much more. I would also like to point out that they have made predictions in the medical field which also have come true, like, for instance, new discoveries and breakthroughs for cancer, heart disease, and diabetes. In addition to that, they are also highly successfully published authors of 2 #1 world best-selling books. The first one, their biography, Separated at Earth, which is a true and powerful story of their journey through life from childhood and which brings you to the present. So be sure to read this book if you want to know about the Jamisons more intimately. Their other book, Psychic Intelligence, the book which teaches you how to tune in and discover the power of your intuition. It's an easy-to-read and understand book packed with valuable information and anecdotes guiding you through the gateway of understanding toward developing your psychic abilities. The book contains more than just psychic development. It also talks about angels and your spirit guides, and it explains the psychic clairs, meditation, mediumship, automatic writing, and so much more. They also have helpful tips throughout the book called Twin Tuition Tips, which I like. In fact, they coined the unique phrase, twin tuition. Please visit the website for all of their predictions and links to the best-selling books, Psychic Intelligence and Separated at Earth, and also feel free to type to their free newsletter, monthly newsletter called Futurescope at www.psychictwins.com. Once again, that's psychictwins.com. Tonight we will be talking with Terry and Linda about what's going on. Perhaps they may give us some tips on developing our own intuition, but most importantly, they have worked hard using their extraordinary gift, making their new 2013 world predictions. And now we welcome our good friends Terry and Linda Jamison, the Psychic Twins, to our show. Good evening, and how are you?
Hello, David and Cheryll. How are you? Thank you so much for that lovely introduction, David.
My pleasure. And you know, you said you'll see us in the future. Well, here we are.
We were right. And I have to give you credit because you really talked us off a ledge I think it was last November when we were just getting attacked by, it seemed like, people that were out to get us, with some kind of a strange vendetta, and you talked us into continuing our work, and we're so grateful that you did.
Well, it's my pleasure. We're in this together, and we have to help each other out. So, you would have done the same.
More than anyone.
Oh yes, you're very dear to us, as you both know.
You're so sweet. Thank you. You're so sweet.
We mean it.
No, you're like family to us.
Oh, thank you so much. And,
thank you.
We feel the same. We really do.
Thank you. Well, we're known as the girls with the crystal balls, and you gave us the best crystal ball anybody could ever get.
You like
beautiful.
that? We loved that gift, and it was the nicest gift anyone's given us. We used it in the Jeff Probst show, in the preliminary reel that they did last week, and I thought it just looked great on camera, that crystal ball.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
So the crystal ball that we gave you as a gift, it works. All right, I'm happy.
It works. It gives us energy. Yeah, it's great. In fact, I'm going to go just bring it over here right now.
Oh, great. That's good. Now, I know you've been working really hard, and a lot of people don't understand this, that you just don't sit there and, I mean, a lot goes into it, which I won't go into right now.
Yes.
But,
right across.
Yeah, we've spent probably months working on these predictions.
See?
And again, we're not going to give all of our predictions for the next 2 years, but they will be for 2013, 2014.
Wow.
And, yeah, we're going to kind of roll them out over the next few months, the next year or so.
On different
shows, right.
Well, I have to be on guard tonight because on previous shows, you are well known to answer questions right before I have a chance to ask it. I'm like,
People have told us that, David.
last time you said, here we go again.
That's funny. We do tend to answer questions before you need to ask them. I don't know how we do that.
Psychic. But
Psychic.
No, you're so right. It takes us huge blocks of time and energy and work to do these predictions. As you know, we have never been paid for our world predictions over the last 20 years of giving them. And we give them for free to help people, really as a harbinger or a warning. So those of you who are listening who may be tempted to try to criticize us, we're really not saying that we're 100% accurate every time. We are trying to help people for free. And what we said to Juju Chang on Nightline was, you try predicting the future world events for 20 years and then get back to us and see how well you do. You know, what's your track record? Mm-hmm. But they've edited that part out. But that's, I mean, it's much harder than people think it is. It's funny, we have inspired a lot of young psychics who really want to do what we do, but I don't think it's the kind of thing, the world prediction, Nostradamus thing that we do I don't think it's for everyone. I think it's something that really you have to have that gift. Right, David? It's a vision that you get. It's a mission that we have.
I'm a psychic medium, and yes, I've had precognitive dreams and premonitions, and I've done some predicting. But my specialty is mediumship. So I don't go making predictions. That has to be your gift, and I suppose that's your gift or specialty. That you're psychic mediums, but that's your specialty. That's not mine. Mine is, talking to spirit, and maybe others. I've had other psychic mediums tell me, yeah, I have the mediumship stuff, but I do mostly psychic things. So everybody, has their own specific gift, and predictions is yours.
Absolutely, it has been accurate too. But I'm talking really about people that kind of think it's like a fun parlor game. Oh, I decided to do world predictions this year just for fun. What do you want to know about? And I don't think it can be taken lightly like that, because it's like kind of like a life or death thing for us. We take it so seriously that we document every single prediction as it happened, and the exact link and the exact source of that prediction, and where and when. And other people who sort of try to pretend that they're psychic or predictors will just toss off a few general things, and then they won't document or follow up. And I just wanted to clarify the people that might be listening who take it very lightly. It's not something to be taken lightly.
It's very much of a calling for us, and has been for 20 years.
You wouldn't have been on all those TV and radio shows over the years, and in magazine articles over and over again, if you didn't get the attention of something from the amazing accurate ability that you show with your abilities, and well-documented predictions that have come true, and most of them very specific. I mean, coincidence, after so many years of that happening, there has to be something to it. And if people don't listen to your predictions when a hurricane comes, they might end up hiding in the shower until it passes.
Oh, that is so funny, because that reminded me of, there's a guy who's a friend of ours on Facebook, and during Megastorm Sandy, just as it was about to clobber the coast, we were saying, run for cover, evacuate, follow evac orders, and we were telling, 30,000 people to do this. And this one friend of ours absolutely insisted that we were wrong, it's going to veer, no, don't listen to the twins. And then it hit about an hour later, it hit the biggest storm ever. And the next day, I swear to God, he apologized to us, and he said that he ordered our book, Psychic Intelligence.
Wow.
I was wrong.
an amazing story. Well,
well, at least you apologized and
ordered our book.
that's good. You know, the proof is
it's a start, you know.
Yes,
because that's the thing. It's like, you know, if you've lived through a hurricane, you think you're an expert, right? But we don't, you know, base our predictions, you know, based on things that happen in the past
or trends.
We don't base them on trends, and that's the mistake that a lot of people make, is that they think that they can just follow trends, and that was all the meteorologists made, and we're tragically wrong about all the tornadoes that we predicted last year.
Well, at least you're open and honest about everything, and everything is well documented. And I've never asked this to you before, but have any of the predictions that you have written down for the show tonight, for example, have any of them already occurred yet? Because I know some of your predictions have.
Yes.
Funny you would ask.
That's a good question.
See, now it's my turn. Now it's my turn.
Now you're predicting our answers, David.
Yes, indeed.
One thing that we did predict was the Walmart bringing, you know, jobs back to the U.S. and $50 billion going to U.S. jobs. That we predicted on your show last year, I think.
Yeah, last February.
On Beyond the Gate.
And so it does look like it is coming back. Some jobs are coming back.
That already happened last
this
week.
Country.
There have been some school shootings that happened already, some sex abuse cases. So, yes, certain things have happened already this year. We're a little bit coming in a little late this year with predictions. It's going to, this show is going to air on the 20th.
Actually, we have a couple hundred. I hope we have time to share at least, half of those. But we have 4 pages, single space. You have time.
We have time to share, I think, 99 of them.
We'll save that one for later.
So if you're ready, anytime you're ready, I'll be quiet and Cheryll will be listening. And you can go ahead and start anytime. Take your time.
Okay, and as we always say on each of our radio shows, no psychic is 100%, no predictor is 100%, and should not claim to be. We never have claimed to be 100% accurate, although we have the highest rate of accuracy in terms of who, what, when, and where specifically that we predict events, world events.
It's not an exact science, not a fixed event, as you know, guys, and so we come as close as we can to what we're seeing for the next 2 years. And I don't know if you read our December Future Scope, which was our newsletter, 100 predictions that we predicted last year. So I hope everyone will read that December newsletter, because it lists every single one of the predictions, and most of them, I think, were predicted on your 2 shows, David.
Yeah, which
Cheryl,
which are on YouTube, I believe, and people can listen if they go to Psychic Twins Beyond the Gate. On YouTube, they can find it. We do have all of our hundreds of documented predictions listed on our website, psychictwins.com. And so anyone wanting to go hear where we predicted it and what actually happened can see it in a very, very long list on our website. We're calling 2013 the year of a scandal, because we really see this coming year being a big year for many political and financial and corporate scandals, sex abuse scandals, and celebrity scandals in the headlines. This is going to be a real blockbuster year in many ways for the economy as well. We're just seeing some really incredible things occurring over the next 24 months. Did you want us to start with the economy in particular, or we can probably go in many directions here, you guys, or we could talk about terror plots or the economy, or.
Okay, go ahead and talk about the economy, then jump into terror plots, and then maybe can talk about nature, whatever is easier for you.
Okay. Well, we're seeing, unfortunately, increased market volatility coming up in the next year or so. Weak growth for the economy in the next year or so. We're seeing unemployment dropping slightly for a while. The dollar will continue to decline gradually. And we don't see the collapse of the U.S. dollar being likely for some time. People always ask us that, but we're not seeing it this year. It is weakening, however, and Europe is also, as everyone knows, weakening as a global power and will continue to. The fiscal problem will not be solved this year, not for our country and not for Europe. It's going to continue for many years to come.
Okay.
We think it's going to be, quite a big subject of concern for Obama this coming year. The fiscal problems and the debt ceiling will be in the conversation quite a bit.
I feel like there's going to be, I don't know whether it's a stock crash or a major correction, but I feel like we're close to one, guys. I feel like it's March, April comes up for a major correction. As you know, we called the last one in June on 3 different shows.
June 1st.
And it happened exactly June 1st. Also, I feel like there's a stock correction around September. It feels like fall of this year.
Yeah.
And again, next year there may be 1 or 2 stock corrections. In terms of housing, due to tight lending standards and, employment being so uncertain, student loans and debts and this type of thing, I think that home sales might not do so well. There's so many foreclosures that are being, suppressed right now that I don't think housing is going to do real well the next couple of years.
Yeah, foreclosures continuing into late next year and into the following year, and increasing, I think, even later this year. So the real estate market is very volatile as well.
And we're seeing a lot of, buildings going up, and there's new building going on in our area. So it's
new construction.
New construction. I'm looking around, and everywhere they're building new supermarkets, and there's a lot of construction in our area. But LA is quite different. It's almost like a bubble. It's very different from the rest of the country, as you know, Cheryl. But what's it like in your area? Are you?
We've seen some construction in our area as well, and just recently, this morning on the news, I was surprised all the trucks are, on the news, and they're talking about building, and they're, talking about the economy, and I think it just sounds like they're trying to encourage us to go out and shop and buy, but then, like you're saying, that it's harder to, with all the different things that are coming down, it will be harder to qualify for houses.
Yes, that's very true. The tight lending standards.
Yeah,
and
I'm not sure it's the best time to buy in the next 6 months. Be very cautious about doing that. If people get the money to lose, do not spend it on a house.
Well, it used to be, thought that you had to own a home to get ahead, but the opposite is almost true now. I wouldn't recommend even, that you need to purchase a home. I would, consider renting a home or renting an apartment. I think that that ship has sailed in terms of you have to have a house for economic security, because so much is going on with the economy worldwide. There's such an upheaval. But we feel like gas prices once again, will pretty much go through the
very, very high
next couple of years.
Yes,
very high
this year. And again, I feel there will be Ponzi schemes happening, at least 2 or 3 this year. A surge in Ponzi schemes is what we're seeing, and investment frauds exposed, corporate frauds exposed. This coming year, billions will be stolen. There's something we're seeing in Europe, a group of people involved in Europe that will be involved in a high-profile Ponzi scheme that will be revealed. It feels like later this year. So be on the lookout for that in the headlines, because we're going to see more money scams going on. Banking scams, bank hack attacks will be happening throughout the next couple of years, corporate and military hack attacks as well. We're talking about cyber hacking into accounts for stealing purposes mostly. Millions will be lost. The U.S. still needs to upgrade infrastructure. Protections are too vulnerable, and we've said this for a couple of years on your show, David. It doesn't seem they have come up with too much to protect our society from these hack attacks.
Well, it's not just banking.
No, not at all.
Finance institutions. It's government, military, and info systems,
yes.
Computer networks, telecommunications, and, we are just going to be constantly targeted by other countries.
Massive cyber attacks and espionage on banking and finance, government, and information systems. By China, Russia, Iran is going to be guilty of some of this, North Korea as well. We're seeing more frequent and aggressive attacks with cyber warfare. So be prepared to see more of this. And I'm not really seeing a shutting down of our grid where we can't use the Internet at all. Some people are saying this will happen. I'm not really seeing that this year, but it's possible. So just be prepared, with a backup in case that happens.
Yeah, I read an article that it's not possible to shut down the entire Internet grid. It's impossible because there are so many networks out there that are run, and if a couple of major networks are shut, still others that are going, and then others can be brought up. So as far as worldwide blackout, that they say it's impossible, but major networks could go down, though, like you said.
Oh,
yes,
absolutely.
That's interesting to know, David. We're very vulnerable as a society, and I think we're just not prepared for the level of cyber attacks that will be happening. I frankly think that the Cyber Attack Commission in the U.S. government is running scared right about now because they're getting so sophisticated, these cyber attackers, so sophisticated with their plots and their methods. So I don't think they're anywhere near prepared for what we're going to be seeing. We do see more school attacks being likely in the U.S. this year and next year. Unfortunately, we did predict the Newtown, Connecticut school mass shooting that happened in December. Tragically, we predicted it in the very first show we did with Wings of Love, Ali Cheslick, last year. And we kept waiting to see if that was going to occur, and it did, sadly, in one of the last weeks of the year. We see more of that happening. Even with the gun control laws, we're seeing, more happening in the coming year. Not all will be thwarted.
Yes, there will be more school attacks. And, in some cases, young shooters, as before. Yeah. There will be some new gun law legislation enacted. As has already happened.
Possibly a ban on assault weapons. Yeah. Immigration reform also likely will be happening this year and into next year.
And we're seeing more lone wolf attacks over the next couple of years in the U.S., 2013 to 2014.
Wow.
Lone wolf terror attacks. I don't know why. I'm just feeling like Colorado again. I'm seeing something in Las Vegas. I have no idea.
Oh, I just was getting, I can't believe that just 10 minutes ago.
That could be getting Las Vegas. Whenever we make predictions on your show, David, they happen very quickly.
There's something
in
Vegas. There is and some kind of attack
and
being plotted there.
Texas, we were seeing.
Texas.
Yeah.
Dallas and possibly Houston. One or both of those cities will be the focus of an attack of some kind in the coming year or year and a half. We're seeing Dallas and Houston being targeted, a plot in progress now.
And, of course, Washington, D.C., New York.
Washington, D.C., New York, and Florida.
Always major targets, but right now, specifically, plots are being formed and planned in Virginia and, I believe, North Carolina, as well as Georgia. So wouldn't be surprised to see something in Georgia related or connected.
Colorado, Arkansas,
and Florida.
And again, we're seeing Ohio and Seattle, Washington.
Now, some of these will be Al-Qaeda connection. Some of them will be
lone wolves. Lone wolves, and they tend to be even more dangerous, the lone wolves, because you
I
never
agree.
know what, yeah, right. anything can happen with these lone wolves. They're quite unstable, and I really think that we're going to be seeing an increase in this kind of attack. Tennessee comes in also, Atlanta, Georgia, for whatever reason. We're seeing something in Georgia. And,
yeah, I just said that.
Okay.
You didn't hear me.
Okay, I thought you did.
That means it's going to probably happen because we both mentioned it.
Yeah, it's in danger. Now in Europe, we're seeing terror plots for Germany again, England, the UK in particular. Yeah, I kept France.
Getting Germany, England, France. So there are quite a few terror cells, but there's something in those specific countries.
Yeah, there are extremist groups that will be emerging in countries that had no presence before. And these have had a presence, the ones we mentioned, but we're going to be hearing in the news other countries that were not in the news for terror attacks before, because Al-Qaeda is very much alive and well in Europe and the Middle East, as we know. It has not gone away. It's not been defeated, but it will be active in quite a few countries next year. Pakistan, Yemen, Iran comes in as a very powerful attack. We've seen also Indonesia and India plots happening right now. And Japan and Egypt, which I haven't mentioned too much before, but I am seeing something in Japan later this year, and it could be with a terror plot in one of the larger cities, or close to a larger city there.
Well, they're spreading, and there was something on the news about North Africa. I guess they're going places where report them, and where they think that while they're focusing on, Pakistan, so we got to go somewhere else and start again. Right. Who knows what's going on? But there is really
Al-Qaeda has a strong presence in North Africa and Saudi Arabia, and we're seeing problems in both those places.
Yes.
With Al-Qaeda organizations or offshoots.
That's quite a bit. Wow.
In the next couple of years. Yeah, it's going to be pretty intense. I think they tend to downplay terror attacks in the media, so a lot of people don't hear of some of these things unless it's a Benghazi type of attack, and even that was suppressed to a degree. We're definitely seeing more happening over the next 24 months, which will be alarming, I think, for people to be prepared. And it's, we're definitely in a new cycle, you guys. This is going to be a powerful year, 2013, for, breaking through to a new level of understanding and being in the world. We've struggled so much to wrap our minds around some of these changes that are happening even now with the young shooters that are coming out with assault weapons and killing literally dozens of people in minutes. This has never happened on this level before. And I think it's old structures are being broken down. We're being forced to change our attitude about a lot of things and awaken to seeing things that we didn't want to see before as a society.
That's the key right there. A year of spiritual awakening, and people are saying all this stuff is happening, what's going on. People, it started with the Occupy. We're tired of wealthy people and the poor and the government doing this and that, whatever. And so that's the start right there, the school shootings. Now people want to do something about it. They really want to do something about it. Before you can wear the polished gold, the beautiful finished product of the polished gold, it must be, extracted and crushed and go through the fire, pounded and polished before you can have that gold. So all this negativity that's coming up is forcing us to change the world in a positive way, I believe.
Oh, I totally agree with that. And in Buddhism, we often talk about how the pressure on coal will make a diamond over time. And that's, really what's happening. It's like we're really developing so much spiritual strength in the ascension process that we're undergoing on the planet right now. So much spiritual energy and wisdom available now, more of a spiritual network than I've ever seen.
Yeah.
You guys,
yes.
you know.
Yeah, and more spiritual age is dawning, right? Old forms are collapsing. We're seeing a death to an old identity or belief systems that will be forcing a change in the attitudes of everyone and our governments in 2013 and 14, and bringing positive, against all odds, we're going to see positive change coming out of all of this. New structures and systems being born. We're seeing a reawakening of the divine feminine power, as Shakti Gawain called it, that has been suppressed for generations.
And, you know, maybe science might be starting to look in the new directions, too, because sometimes some prominent people like Dr. Eben Alexander, who is a famous neurosurgeon, or he is now because he has a book out, who underwent a near-death experience, because he said that, you know, when you have near-death experience, a lot of people believe that, you know, you're delusional, or, you know, it's from trauma or the drugs or something, you know, of that nature. But he says that when he passed away, his neocortex was shut down. That means when you undergo that type of experience, you have no consciousness. It does not exist. And he states, yet he still had a consciousness. He was met by a spirit guide, went to the other side, bring back a message of, you know, you are eternal, you're loved, you can do nothing wrong, and you're protected. Other amazing messages. He came back. He studied his records as an expert, and he came to the conclusion that, you know, what he thought would happen from the other near-death experience stories, that people are wrong, that I have the proof right here that my whole body shut down, my brain shut down, my neural cortex center shut down. Thus, I absolutely had no consciousness on the threshold of death, and yet I still had a consciousness outside of that, had an experience, and came back and wrote it down. So he had the he was brave enough to speak that of his colleagues, because a lot of scientists won't talk about that kind of stuff because they'd be, you know, made fun of, or they might lose their job, their reputation, whatever.
Yes,
so I'm glad he did told us about that. It might be the start of other scientists getting on board, I hope.
Hope so. That's very persuasive, isn't it?
And there are so many studies and research studies have shown again and again that we never really lose consciousness when we die, and also that that our spirit is consciousness and that the universe is alive. And so I feel like more and more studies will be done to prove what we've been doing for 20 years, right? Science is catching up with our psychic work. And it's good to see, you know, again, there are many, many studies, right, Linda, that have been done.
Many scientists, prominent scientists, are starting to agree, and there are numerous scientific studies that validate the existence of what we're doing, of the paranormal, and even the ability to predict future events.
And reading,
it's been suppressed, unfortunately.
It has. I mean, reading the field is critical to our survival, and that's why we wrote our book, Psychic Intelligence, so that people could have kind of an advanced knowing. Maybe I shouldn't go to school today. Maybe Johnny really, you know, has a stomachache because we're not supposed to go to school today. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, there was a 5-year-old boy who literally refused to go to school a week before the Newtown massacre. And his mother listened to him, which, to her credit, was psychic intelligence on both of their parts.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I read that story. It's amazing.
It's an amazing story. And the kids know it, the crystal children, the indigo children, these young psychic children, they're teaching their parents, right? And the parents are listening to them and saying, you know, I'm not going to take you to that school if you get a bad vibe about it. So that's what psychic intelligence is, and that's why we wrote it, so that everyone can benefit and really develop their own awareness. And the 5 players.
And it works too.
4 players, rather.
Yeah.
It does work.
Yeah, we want to thank you for writing that great book. It's helped a lot of people. People talk about it all the time, and they said it's helped them. Even some skeptics that I saw postings on Facebook said I was skeptical. I started reading it and I tested it out, and you know what? This is all good. So, you're doing something. I mean, you're bringing it out there. It's just to help people. That's all it is, to help others. And we have that in us naturally, so why not use it? It's free,
Oh, exactly. It's kind of funny that people, we all have intuition, but for some reason everybody is so upset about the fact that, we're teaching people to develop their own intuition. What is threatening about that? I just don't get it.
We're shattering paradigms.
There you go.
A paradigm is a pattern or a model, a philosophical or theoretical framework of any kind. And a dominant paradigm refers to the values or systems of thought in a society that are most widely held at any given time. And the greatest barrier to making a paradigm shift is the reality of paradigm paralysis, and that is the inability or refusal to see beyond the current models of thinking. And what we're doing is forcing people to see the evidence, to look at the evidence, proving that this goes beyond the current paradigm, which is limiting. It's a limiting mindset. And logical thinking, rational thinking is limited. It keeps us confined and keeps us from understanding the full scope of our power. So reason, which scientists tout is everything, reason and rationality, is just a small part of the human brain, interestingly enough. Psychic intelligence has been around for eons. Even Einstein said that we need a substantially different kind of intelligence in order to survive. And Terry and I feel that is psychic intelligence. And so we really believe that we're shattering paradigms, and a lot of the skeptics don't like to read the literature. They don't want to read the many, many studies that are statistically significant and have been published in reputable journals about proof of the paranormal being a real thing.
They don't want to face their fears. They refuse to read it because of, fear and ignorance. They're intelligent people, but fear and ignorance because they're afraid of something that they do not understand. They wouldn't know how to handle it, so they just pass it up and stay with their mainstream beliefs. But what can you say,
Because it's safe and they can hide there. And then, when the media also hides out there and tries to suppress the truth, then nobody benefits, and people stay stuck in this fear mind that is afraid of their own power. Everybody's so afraid of stepping into their real power, their true power, which is so much greater than they know. And it's because the media suppresses the truth.
Well, it's because of people like you that helps get the word out, and people are starting to have a second pulse. Well, what's the heck? Let me just check it out, and especially if their children are having these experiences and they've heard you speak, for example, they might start to pay attention to the children and learn something. So It's just great. And talking about psychic intelligence, do you see anything in like earthquakes or storms or anything coming this year?
We have so many predictions. A lot of killer twisters affecting many states in the U.S. in the next couple of years. More violent storms coming. And
several megastorms threatening the East Coast. Mm-hmm. And hurricanes as well coming up in the next couple of years. More heat waves and droughts in the Midwest, especially in the South. We're seeing more intense heat waves and droughts, longer, intense, more deadly.
Well, the climate change will be intensifying the storms, and the warming of the climate makes the storms worse. As you know, Megastorm Sandy was a hurricane that met with an amazingly large storm, so it was double the size of a hurricane. Even though it didn't come on shore as a hurricane, it was 1,000 miles wide. And so this kind of thing is probably going to become more and more common. It's funny, we always joke that, weathermen need satellites and all we need is psychic intelligence and a pen and a legal pad. It's like, okay, here they are with their millions of dollars worth of equipment.
Billions of dollars.
They're almost always wrong and they miss all the predicting everything. And
now they're doing, all the news programs are doing future casts, prediction shows for the weather company. They're like, I'll be damned if those psychic twins are going to beat us again.
That's right. Break out your high-definition Doppler radar and go for it.
That's right.
10,000 or whatever it is.
And still they miss it.
Whatever that means.
But we are seeing major earthquakes and I want to give specific places where we're seeing the earthquakes.
Yeah, we're seeing actually along the U.S. West Coast and South American West Coast, particularly vulnerable. We're not seeing necessarily the big one this year. We've been correct for the past...
In California, you mean?
In California. We've been correct about that for the past 15 years, and hopefully we will be right about that again.
Well, I'm seeing earthquakes in California.
But not the big one.
But I'm feeling almost like more north. It feels more around San Francisco area. I'm also getting Alaska, Pacific Northwest, Seattle vulnerable. I'm also really, really picking up Chile, Brazil, New Zealand, Mexico, and those are the main ones. And there is going to be something in Japan as well in terms of earthquakes this year and next year. Major stuff.
Did you say Turkey too? I was
Turkey. I didn't say it, but I was picking up on Turkey
and
as
China.
Well. Yes.
China was seeing.
China and
vulnerable.
I also get a hit on Italy as being
another one
fairly large, but for some reason I kept feeling like Christchurch, New Zealand kept coming in.
Oh boy.
I'm praying it's not going to be as bad as the big one that they had last year. So devastating for them.
Yeah, that was.
That was a very bad one. And Chile, Chile and Brazil really coming in strong for me. We're seeing several hurricanes and megastorms threatening the East Coast. Florida has actually kind of they've gotten off the hook in the past couple of years. They haven't been hit that hard, but I'm seeing something for Florida. I feel like Florida may be more vulnerable this year and next year in hurricanes. We're seeing some major droughts. We're seeing a lot of flooding, the Midwest and southern states, the Gulf states, of course, major heat waves coming up.
Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas with floods, Gulf states, and tornadoes, as Terry mentioned. We're seeing more violent storms overall in coming years because of global warming. Tornado Alley, of course, Midwest and the South, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Mississippi, Alabama. Some not so freaky as this past year, I don't think, in terms of the timing, because it was so much earlier, several months earlier than the usual tornado season. Okay. And we are seeing, though, tornadoes and killer twisters affecting many states.
Wow. Okay, and do you have anything in the medical field or celebrities?
Oh, wow.
Celebrities?
You are. I'm glad you are reading our minds because
yes.
I was going to say that next. I'm glad you mentioned that.
My turn.
You always do that. But I always, always like to balance out, the
good with the bad.
The good with the bad, and we're very famous for our health and medical breakthrough predictions. Feeling very good about breakthroughs in cancer of all types, immune systems being bolstered, cancer treatments, breast cancer particularly. Were you seeing that, Linda?
Yeah, absolutely. Some real strong breakthroughs with cancer.
Prostate,
very positive.
Lung cancer, prostate breakthroughs.
Sickle cell anemia, interesting. I'm seeing a breakthrough with that this year. And MS, which we haven't usually talked about, but I'm feeling something strong coming in around MS. And vaccines to treat cancers, various cancers, will be needing FDA approval. So that's very exciting. We're seeing something for Parkinson's disease.
Oh,
And,
that's great.
Yeah. We know
have
someone who has that, someone fairly
A close
close.
friend has Parkinson's, and we're seeing breakthroughs in Parkinson's over these next couple of years. Great strides in heart disease coming in the news, in the headlines, you guys, and
diabetes.
very encouraging news.
Weight loss and obesity, which we were right about last year. Where there were
You
several
definitely were. Yes.
Yeah, on your show, I think we tied in the diabetes with what was it? Weight loss and diabetes and obesity, and they came out in the news with treatments and breakthroughs that were involving diabetes drugs to treat weight loss and this type of thing. So they were all tied in, just as we predicted. We're seeing big breakthroughs in depression and mental illness.
Oh, absolutely.
Bipolar
meds, breakthroughs in bipolar meds, and something
eating
like
disorders.
Something like 3 million young people are suffering from mental illness, I think I read, which is horrifying. And
it is.
3 million adolescents in the U.S. clinically depressed is what the statistics are. And that's ridiculous. 3 million adolescents.
That is ridiculous.
Yes, most not getting treatment. And so new social systems will have to be put in place to help those poor people suffering from mental illness, and research and programs are being cut. So it's really touch and go. I think people just have to be very on the lookout for the signs of their own children and fellow classmates and students, what's really going on, and maybe pay more attention and ask more questions so that we don't have another Newtown.
And we're also seeing natural treatments and breakthroughs, not just the drugs, allopathic medicine, and medications, but we're seeing alternatives to those medications that are more natural, herbal-based, homeopathic is making strides in addiction, weight loss, depression, AIDS and HIV. We're seeing some breakthroughs with that as well.
Alzheimer's, which our mom passed of, osteoporosis prevention and treatment, which is very optimistic because there hasn't been a lot for that, really.
No, yes, that's true.
And I'm seeing some breakthrough happening in the next 12 to 16 months with that. New technology, perhaps, for restoring sight in blind patients. So there's some exciting technology being developed, I think, that will have far-reaching ramifications and benefits for people with blindness. So there's going to be exciting medical advances in the coming years. We're very excited to report that. And people go, don't you ever see anything good? But Terry and I have predicted most of all of the big breakthroughs, medical breakthroughs of the past 12 years on radio shows, and I don't think they're listening for the good stuff. You actually predict that a lot.
Or they just don't listen to the shows at all.
They may not.
They want to think that we are just known for terror predictions, but we actually are almost better known for the medical breakthroughs.
And do you have anything that you want to say, but do you have maybe a couple celebrity predictions or anything else that you'd want to throw in there?
We won't be talking about celebrity predictions right now, David, although we do have some. We just haven't been able to laser focus with that, but I'm sure we will be doing more of that this year. We do see a drug overdose with a young male actor, but we haven't really been able to determine who that might be yet. But it is coming up in the next 6 or 7 months. We're seeing 2 political scandals, high-profile officials, at least 2 political scandals that you're going to be reading about in the news.
High-ranking officials.
And that's going to be happening, of course, ongoingly, but we see at least a couple of those this year. Again, the year of the scandal. This is the year. You're going to be hearing more than ever And I think with the news cycle being 24/7, they're going to be capitalizing more on that too than other things. People seem to love their scandals, but overall, I think
it's the new reality. It's the new reality TV show. Yeah.
It is truly that.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If it bleeds, it leads. You know, that's what they say.
That's right.
And you don't have to swing a cat to know that.
I remember that. Your cat's still hiding in the drapes.
Probably.
I remember that.
But George Orwell said, during times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. And I think that because we are all truth tellers, you know, it sometimes isn't the best received news.
No.
People don't really want to know the truth, or they don't want to go too deep, or they don't want to look at their own lives so deeply. But I think that we have to. I think that the time has come where everyone needs to shine a light on their biggest fears and to bring everything out in the open and, you know, be honest with each other in marriages and more transparency in marriage and relationship. I think it's going to happen this year. I'm optimistic about relationships. But I really think that it's time to really tell the truth, guys, in our relationships.
The truth will set you free.
It certainly will. It really will. And, you know, a lot of people have been having dreams of all kinds. And, you know, do you think it's a good idea that if they're concerned about their dreams, that maybe if they try to start a dream journal over time? Because I have, and I've looked back a couple of years, and then the strange dreams didn't make sense then, but a couple of years later when I look back, then they started to really make sense.
You are a dreamer. You have vivid dreams, and you do a lot of astral travel, David. And I'm glad that you're talking about that because, we have a small part in our book devoted to dreams.
Be a dream weaver.
Be a dream weaver in a
chapter. And we have, just today, one of our friends in Ireland wrote to us on Facebook and said, I am having dreams about you two, and you're taking me by the hand, and you're both angels. And shout out to Kieran. We love you.
Yeah, he's
but
nice
we
guy.
get literally, he's precious. And we get emails like that every single day where people have these vivid dreams with us. And sometimes we'll get people writing us that say, I never heard of you, but I dreamt about you and I Googled you. And I want a reading or something, or they'll show up at our door. That's when it gets a little scary.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, okay, stay home and tell me about your dreams.
Stay home and tell us.
No, it's really been amazing that the dreams that people share on our Facebook group are incredible. You know, some of the deep details and things they predict and visions they have. And, you know, it's really amazing the kind of dreams that we're hearing.
And what I like,
David, you had that dream about Jenny Rivera's plane crashing just days before it happened,
and you gave the number.
Put it in detail.
You gave the number of the flight on our Facebook group page.
Yes, I wanted it documented, and then it happened. I started to do that with in 2010, I believe. I had a dream where Cheryl and I were at Ocean Beach in San Francisco, and I saw a water spout. And I said, no, not around here. The next day in the news, rare water spout spotted off Ocean Beach in San Francisco. So I started writing stuff down, and publicly, too.
That's funny.
And, I mean, I was so glad when you I'm so glad when you recorded that, because I think it was just a week later or 2 weeks later that your prediction actually came to pass with the exact flight number. We were all very impressed with it.
It was 5 days later, and I told Cheryl I saw a nosedive, and at 5 to that, the FAA or whoever said that they investigated the crash and looked like the plane took a nosedive. So I know that was it, and everything about the aircraft, but it's tragic. tragic, but I just wrote what I saw.
Very tragic. That was a very big loss. Yeah.
Unfortunately, we're coming to an end of the show already. But
it went so fast.
It did, but it was an amazing show as always. I know thousands of people are going to be listening to this, if not more. Thank you so much for your hard work, and from my heart to yours and Cheryl's for coming here and doing this. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise.
Thank you, David and Cheryl.
We love you so much.
We appreciate it, and we'll
see you in the future.
All right.
All right. Love you too. Thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome, sweetie.
Our
Thank
pleasure.
you, and have a blessed 2013.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You too.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, you heard it here first on Beyond the Gate Radio, the fabulous, world-famous Psychic Twins with your host David Baker and co-host Cheryll Baker. Thank you, everybody, for listening. May your 2013 be a great one. God bless, and we'll see you on the next show. Goodbye.
Good night.